Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Right, today I'm going to be taking a look at the Eskute Netuno electric bike. This particular model has actually been around for a couple of years now, but what Eskute are doing is they're offering it at a substantial discount. Usually retails for about £1,099, and they are currently selling this model off at £899, I believe, which is, considering the specification, it's good value for money. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be doing a quick walk around to show you some of the components, and then I'll be taking it for a hill climb test, followed by an off-road test, and we shall see how it performs. And then after that I'll just wrap it up and I'll go over some of the pros and cons and tell you what I think of it. Okay. Right, first of all, we're going to take a look at the electric components. Now we have the tried and tested Bafang MG020 250 watt rear hub motor. It's 36 volt. It's smooth, fairly quiet. It does make a little bit of noise under load. Now the battery is a 36 volt 14.5 amp hour, uses Samsung cells, and yeah, I mean, I haven't obviously had a chance to do a full range test on it yet, but I've done about 12.5 miles so far, and I've used 2 bars off the battery out of 5. So, but I have been using it in the highest level of assist for most of that ride, so that seems about right. I mean, I'm going to be doing roughly 30 miles today, so we shall I'll give you an update when I get back home. Right, pedal assist is via a Cadence sensor. Quite often Cadence sensors are quite on and off, they're quite jerky. This one has a very smooth build up. So as you start pedaling, the assist basically comes on very smoothly, which it's not a bad thing. I actually quite like the assist on this. I do think it's quite nice, but I have noticed if you're pulling away off a junction, it can be a little bit frustrating because the power takes a while to build. Right, let's have a quick look at the display. There you go. As you can see, it's a nice colour display. Haven't figured out how to change it to miles an hour yet. I've got a feeling you need the app, but yeah, it's Bluetooth enabled. So if it's anything like the Eskute Netuno Plus I tested a few months ago, you'll have to enable Bluetooth and then connect up via the Eskute app to change it to miles an hour. Now, as far as I know, there's no way to unlimit this. It is sold as a UK and EU legal e-bike, so it cuts off at 15.5 miles an hour or 25 kilometers an hour. Functionality is fairly basic. You've got 5 levels of assist, 0, then 1 to 5, and that really I think is it. I'm not sure if you can, I know sometimes you get a trip display there, but that's the display anyway. Right, let's look at the components. Right, we've got a Shimano Tourney 7-speed system. Again, it's very common on e-bikes at this price. Almost universal actually on e-bikes at this price. Not sure what the front chainring is. I'd say it's probably a 38 tooth. It is geared quite low. So basically, once you get to about 19-20 miles an hour, your legs are spinning quite fast. Much better suited to off-road riding, having low gearing. Right, now the suspension forks are actually quite good. It does feel a lot nicer than other similar forks I've come across on similarly priced e-bikes, which is a good thing. What I have found with a lot of the forks on e-bikes at this price, there always seems to be a little bit of movement when you apply the front brake. Like this one actually seems quite solid. For a budget fork, it actually works really well. Obviously, we've got a front headlight. I did just have a chance to test that out in a tunnel, and it seems to work okay. It's not fantastic, but it does the job. Now, your brake levers. Now, being a budget e-bike, it does use mechanical disc brakes, which look very similar to the ones which are used on the Eskute Netuno Plus. Now, so far these brakes have performed as I'd expect. They're not particularly brilliant. They slow you down, they do work. Obviously the bike is brand new, so I've only put 12 miles on it, so obviously there's always a bit of a bedding in period. The pedals are well go, quite nice, metal cage pedals. The saddle's been very comfortable so far. I think it's the same saddle they use on the Paluno Plus. And the cables are routed internally, which is a nice touch. So yeah, I think it's based on the first 12.5 miles anyway, it certainly seems like a good value e-bike, and for £899, yeah, it's so far so good. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go off and do a hill climb test, and we'll see how it performs uphill. Right, we're just going to do a hill climb test. This is a hill I've ridden up before on previous videos. It's not particularly steep. I think it gets up to about 10 or 13%, something like that. Well, I'm going to keep it in level 5, highest level of assist, and we'll see how it goes. At the moment it's fairly effortless. Here we go, it's a steep bit. Up to 12% now. Motor's starting to struggle a little bit. I'm having to put a bit of effort in. We're almost at the top of the climb. Things are easing up a little bit now. It's back down to 6%. There we go, that's a hill climb test done. Yeah, it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. It almost feels like the motor's not running at its full potential. When I have tested many Bafang hub motors in the past, and they certainly climb a lot better than that in their highest assist level. This one felt more like being level 5 on this, felt like being level 3 on other bikes. So that surprised me a little bit. I mean, it still got me up there. You know, I'm not out of breath or anything, but just didn't feel like it had the kind of oomph that previous bikes I've tested up that particular climb. And bearing in mind, most of the bikes I've tested up there are in level 3. I've put this in the highest level of assist, and yeah, it's okay. I mean, it got me up there okay. It just didn't feel quite as lively as I would expect a 250 Bafang hub motor to feel. Anyway, we're going to do some off-road riding now, guys. Right, we're just going to do an off-road test of the Eskute Netuno. I'm going to leave it in level 5. We'll see how it performs. Currently up on Dartmoor, up near Bavator Reservoir. It's a route I ride quite regularly on my gravel bike. One thing I've noticed with this bike is the tiny little bit of rattling noise coming from the battery when you get on rough ground. I mean, it's locked in place, it just seems to be a little bit of movement there. Nothing major though. Now these suspension forks can be adjusted for preload. They seem to work okay. As I said, not particularly brilliant, but certainly for if you're just after a bit of leisure riding, you know, if you're just going to be riding stuff like this, nice mellow trails, bit of gravel and that kind of thing, absolutely fine. The only thing you do notice is at the rear end, you do feel it for your backside when you go over bumps. So you probably want to invest in a suspension seat post. I would recommend something like a Suntour SP12 seat post, which really is an excellent seat post, uses a parallelogram design. I'll be doing a review of that seat post in a separate video. Yeah, you really do feel it through the back end when you're going over big bits of rock and holes. So yeah, I'd certainly recommend getting a Suntour SP12 seat post. I mean, they're not particularly cheap, they're about 60 quid, but it's a worthwhile investment if you like your back end in one piece. But apart from that, it's okay. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this off-road bit up now, and I'll move on to the conclusion. I'll tell you what I think of it. Right, hope you enjoyed the footage. Give you my final thoughts on the Eskute Netuno electric bike. Well, for £899, there's not a lot to dislike really. It handles off-road okay, as you've seen. It's not a proper mountain bike, but it's going to be fine for riding on gravel and maybe some nice single track. So it'll be good for weekend exploring. But obviously, because of the budget nature of the forks and the components, I wouldn't recommend tackling anything too challenging, if you know what I mean. Motor performance isn't as I'd expect of a Bafang 250 watt hub motor. It certainly feels like it's been toned down a little bit. That's just something to bear in mind. Now, the pedal assist is very smooth. It doesn't give you that kick in the pants you'd usually get from a pedal assist sensor. So you find it takes a little while for the assist to kind of build up. So I'd imagine that's something to do with the controller programming. Maybe the startup current has been changed to make it softer. It feels nice. It's very comfortable. It's a very comfy bike to ride. I mean, like I said, I'm on about 15 and a half miles now, and it really is a nice comfy bike to ride. The rider position's nice. The forks work quite well. They're good for a budget fork. The brakes are okay, not brilliant, but they're typical mechanical brakes, easy enough to upgrade if you wanted to. And again, so far battery range seems okay, 15 and a half miles. I've used 2 bars so far, and I'm fairly confident I'll get back home with what I've got left. I'll be doing a total of 32 miles today, I think, but I will put the I'll put the final battery range up there. So yeah, I think for £899, if you're after a cheap electric bike, particularly for commuting to and from work, or maybe you just want something to use on the weekends for a bit of fun, I'd say it's well worth considering. It's, I mean, this is the 3rd Eskute bike I've tested over the last few years. They've all been pretty good. They do have quite a good reputation. Their customer service seems to be quite good, and the bikes do come with, I believe, a 12-month warranty. I think they guarantee the electric parts for up to 2 years. I'll double check that. Anyway guys, I hope you found this Eskute Netuno review useful, and I'm going to be keeping hold of this bike for a little bit. I'll try and get another video done, and yeah, I'll update you in a couple of weeks. See you later.